Does George Russell has what it takes to become a world champion in this Formula 1 grid, which is so tight and crazy? We are going to find out, but first of all, let's just see. These are all the drivers. I have done these kinds of experiment and they have well won the championship, but obviously we gave them a really good car. So that is something I am going to be doing with George Russell in Mercedes. And obviously the caveat as always for big teams will be that he will be starting with the lowest amount of fuel available to start a race. So let's see what George Russell can do with the Mercedes, which honestly right now is on the back foot, but really amazing these guys are. So first of all, we go into the upgrades even without having to do any kind of sponsor negotiation, anything guys. This is how much money the Mercedes have on its own, and after the sponsor negotiation we got 91 million. So suspension, again another upgrade which is going to get us a lot of tire wear, helped us. So for the first race of the Australian GP, which was George Russell won it, but in the Chinese sprint Antonelli was the one who actually won the race. But in the main race of China, Russell won it by 10 seconds. Obviously guys, the early pace matters so much in these kinds of performance, and George Russell won himself in the Japanese GP. But guys, in the race of Bahrain, he actually retired because I forgot to save the fuel for him. Well, I did save the fuel for him, but I did not save for 2 laps, and after that he DNF'd. And in the Saudi Arabian GP, George Russell almost DNFs. Well, he stops just 100 meters after the finishing line. That was we were saved. And in the Miami sprint he was able to get himself the win, and in the main race too Russell won the race, but obviously it was because we got a one-stop strategy for George Russell. But in the Imola GP it was a little difficult with the problems he faced while trying to come up, but in the Monaco GP he was able to get himself the win very easily. And in the Spanish GP it was a little bit closer, but obviously George Russell was able to win. But in the Canadian GP, Max Verstappen, again guys, Max Verstappen is such an amazing driver that he fights every driver I am trying to make a champion, but this time George Russell was the one who gets himself P2. But in Austrian GP, George Russell with very wet track was able to get himself the win, and in the British GP too he won. And obviously guys, it was a little crazy because in the Spa sprint again he was able to win, but in the main race he just not only won, he won by 18 seconds. That's how amazing he is right now. And in the Hungarian GP guys, Piastri was the one who won it. A little difficult to catch up to him, but still guys, we are doing good, and George Russell only 70 points in front of Max Verstappen. So we have a commanding lead, but it will be a little difficult because look at that guys, in the asnwer GP George Russell almost lost the lead to Piastri, but in the Monza GP Antonelli in front of his home team was able to win the race, and George Russell finished himself in the Azerbaijan GP with P1. But in the Singapore GP guys, after all the upgrades, everything, George Russell crashed, but Antonelli decided that he is going to make a bigger crash, and because of that George Russell only finishes in P7 while Max Verstappen won the race. But the good news for us guys is that after this race we had some crazy things, because in the sprint race of USGP we were able to win. But honestly guys, the good thing is Max Verstappen, though he was able to win in the USGP2 and George Russell only got P7, he caught up to us by a lot here. But still, I am not worried here guys, because in the Mexico GP P1 and P2 for the McLarens, and we got there P3. George Russell almost DNF'd there too. But look at that, Max Verstappen only P7. And in the Brazil GP though, Max Verstappen came back. George Russell got P3. Obviously, look at our tire wear. It was really bad for us. But still, guys, I know we can do this championship because on to the Brazil GP. Look at how close we were to Piastri to losing the race. And in the Las Vegas GP, George Russell obviously again gets himself the win. And guys, the good thing is, even though the McLarens, look at that, in the Qatar sprint were able to win, get themselves P1 and P2, but the good news for us is that Max Verstappen is nowhere to be found because George Russell again gets himself another big win by 15 seconds. So in the last race of the season, where we don't really have to worry about anything because look at that, Lando Norris fights with George Russell for the win, but here again George Russell becomes the champion of the world, and he, as we have proven almost all the drivers, that he also has the chance to become a world champion. And let's just go again and look at that, the McLarens, look at that, how they caught us up by a lot, but the problem was we did not have to worry about them because Max Verstappen was the one that was close to us and he did not score any points. So guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.